thanks for joining us. It's great to be talking to you.
Thanks.
Now, you were born in Perth, you graduated from University of Western Australia, but in cello performance, and then you started learning voice. But was that an absolute switch, or while you were doing the cello, were you singing as well?
Yeah, it was a sort of a steady progression from one to the other. I started singing obviously at high school, where I went to a music school, Churchland's music school, and so we did a lot of singing there. And then I really wanted to do musical theatre, and Mum said, I think you should do, you know, in those days, a serious degree. So you should go to UWA and get an arts degree in music. So that's what I did. And so I did it on the cello. And then slowly I started to get more work as a singer rather than a cellist.
And tell us about how your career progressed after you moved into singing. Was there a sort of a big break that you got early on?
Yeah, I did. I studied for 2 years, a very intensive opera school in WA called the Opera Studio. And from that I went straight into the Young Artist program here at Opera Australia. And I had a fantastic opportunity where a colleague went sick at 6 hours' notice in the Pirates of Penzance, and I was the understudy of Mabel. So I went on. It just so happened to be the DVD recording that night. So that was my big break, and from that and the pressure that I was put under, and I rose to the occasion, and it was a great success for me. I got My Fair Lady, I got Eliza. So I'm sure that was a turning point in my career.
By George, she's got it. By George, she's got it.
You talked a bit about as if you kind of are an accidental success, but that can't be true, in the sense that you can't get to where you are without focusing, without having an idea of what excellence means to you.
That's true. I mean, I've worked very hard. I still work very hard. But I think my passion for the art form, although it came quite late, is very genuine. I think opera's supreme. I think all the other art forms are trying to be opera. It's everything. I mean,
what is it about opera that makes it supreme?
Oh my goodness. It's drama, it's theatre, it's music, it's maths, it's physics, it's literature, it's history, it's a visceral connection to the past. I mean, what isn't it? It's amazing.
Well, one of the things it is old, on the whole.
It is old, but it's also current, and it continues to be. And it's relevant, it's very relevant.
3 little maids from school. 3 little maids who all are wearing comfort.
Singing and performance, the arts generally, are a tough career.
Yeah.
Tough careers, as I'm sure
Yeah, they are.
you know better than me. But is there a time in your life when you can remember having failed?
Yeah, I have. One particularly which was, I cried and cried and cried at the Botanical Gardens here in Melbourne. I just finished the studio, 2 years of, boot camp, and we had this. It was a competition for the Wiesbaden Opera House, and it was like an exchange. And I didn't even get into the preliminaries. I didn't get past the preliminaries, and I just thought, oh my God, what have I done? I'm never going to make it. And I was really floored, actually, because I'd worked so hard. Anyway, I took myself to the park, had a good cry, and then I took myself aside and gave myself a good talking to, and I just worked harder. That's what happens with me. If you say to me you can't have something, I go, right, okay, we'll see about that. And then I auditioned for the Young Artist program for Opera Australia, which was soon after. And yeah, it gave me the tenacity and the strength to all or nothing, because it really was all or nothing. And I walked in there, I did my audition for Richard Hickox, and I walked out of there and I thought, I've got that, and I did.
Well, are you proud of yourself for turning it around then, for not sort of giving up at that point?
Yeah, I don't think it's in my nature to give up. I don't know. So I'm not surprised I did that, but yeah. It was almost like there wasn't any other option. So, And then the studio had set me up so well for the opera company that I worked really hard. And I was here every morning at 8:30 for the first 2 years practising. And, because I felt behind. And I was behind. Most students are starting at university at 19. So I didn't have the historical knowledge of opera. I needed to catch up on, knowing about opera. The industry is really tough, and as good as you are, there's someone as good as you right behind you, nipping at your ankles. So, you know, you have to be at a level of excellence all the time.
Tell us a bit about your idea of what it takes to be a great singer. What do you think, apart from the physical side of it?
Yeah.
What's the artistic requirement?
I think you need a very tough constitution. I think you need to be able to take criticism, and you need to be able to take it all the time. I think you have to be willing to learn. You have to have the passion for music. If you don't have that, you'd probably give up. You need to be dedicated. You need to practice every day, and it needs to be the centre point of your life. It's probably the most important aspect of my life.
And to what extent is teamwork important? Because even though you're a soloist, when you're in an opera, you're a part of a team.
Yeah, it's vital, and it makes for really beautiful opera. Like at the moment, we've got the cast is all from Australia. We all know each other, and that actually helps. Because we know each other so well, we don't have to get to know each other to feel safe with each other to express ourselves freely. So that's a huge benefit, and that comes from being in a team who, you know, lives and breathes and walks and sings together. Yeah, and certainly there are operas that are written where there is the main diva and the main divo, but for me, it's not as satisfying as an ensemble piece like Don Giovanni, Marriage of Figaro, Così. They're all much more satisfying. Yeah.
And what advice would you give to new opera students coming out at 19, as you put it, at that point?
Yeah.
Should they go straight into opera then, or should they try and do something else for a while, as you did?
For me, it works. I think, I did 13 years of ballet, and I did a lot of acting, and I worked in plays. And I would recommend students go out of high school and they do a gap year in Italy and go and speak the language for a year. It's too young to become an opera singer. The chords are still, the larynx is still developing. I mean, that's a lifelong commitment until it doesn't work anymore. But I wouldn't be in any rush, and I'd be very patient, which is difficult these days because the youth of today, they're so impatient. Do you know what I mean? They can get everything 30 seconds ago.
And they would think that their larynx is perfectly immature.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
And if it's not, I'll go and buy one. So, yeah, patience, and get knowledgeable and get moving, and, learn to dance and learn to act, because they are just as important now. You can't get away with just standing on stage and singing anymore. People aren't interested in it. They want everything.
Right. It's been great talking to you, Taryn. Thank you.
You too.